insightful commentary, and your feedback. Afternoons with Rob Breakenridge. This is why talk radio matters. Call or text 403-974-8255. Afternoons with Rob Breakenridge, 770 CHQR.
So much happening in the world of tech this past week. Well, we had news a couple of days back, the United Kingdom joining the U.S., Australia in banning Chinese tech giant Huawei from participating in its 5G network. Canada still hasn't made a definite decision on that, but that was one thing. Then we heard about the Twitter hack. Did you hear this story? How some legitimate Twitter accounts, hackers got into it, and let's say it was Obama or one of the big ones. If you gave Obama a certain amount in cryptocurrency, you can tell that I'm struggling trying to explain it. That's why I'm bringing in Hank Fornham. He is an independent security researcher, a white hat hacker. Hank, help me out here.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. So the Twitter hack was pretty interesting and probably something we won't see too often, exactly like it. But they suffered a social engineering attack, basically, and I think this can also be a result of employees starting to work from home after the COVID development. And so I think someone was social engineered from the company, and the hackers got access to some tools or some sensitive information that allowed them to control users' accounts and post on their behalf. I'm even noticing some users had their recovery emails replaced and their recovery phone numbers with a Proton email.
And so when you say the users, these were pretty high-profile users, weren't they, if I'm to believe what I've been reading?
Yeah, so it was a pretty good mix of users. There was a pretty good list of high-profile accounts, being like Obama. There was a few really well-placed posts, I guess, on some accounts. Like there was one with Mr. Beast, who's pretty prevalent with giveaways in the online community, and even Elon Musk, who's already kind of intertwined in the Bitcoin community. So it kind of made it easier for the hacker to shed some credibility on their scam.
So I'm the hacker. I get control of Elon Musk's Twitter account, and I'm able to send out messages to my fans. Am I following you so far?
Oh, yeah. And so Twitter hasn't released the kind of access that these hackers had access to yet, but they pretty much had access to everything that the account owner would have, and maybe even more. So they could change the recovery email or the recovery numbers. They could send messages and make posts on behalf of the user.
So was there anything untoward? Like I thought I was reading that some of these hackers were trying to get people to give them cyber secure or Bitcoins. Is that right? Yeah.
So they were using the cryptocurrency Bitcoin to try and cash in on their scam, and just making requests like, send me $1,000 and I'll send $1,000 back, and I'm doing this for the next 30 minutes. And so having figures like Mr. Beast or Elon Musk posting this, you can imagine it's no surprise that the hacker got, I think it was near just over 118,000 US in just the few hours that it transpired.
The few hours. So in the few hours then, did Twitter realize they had this breach on their hands?
Yeah, so Twitter released an update. It looks like, I think it was 3 p.m. yesterday. And then around an hour after that update was released is when things really started to take off. And Twitter made an announcement pretty quick, acknowledging the breach and trying to mitigate the problem. Finally, after about another 45 minutes or an hour, they decided to disable posting from a majority of their verified account users, and even disabling things like resetting passwords, since the request is just going to go to the malicious email anyways.
Mm-hmm. You know, I introduced you as a white hat hacker, and maybe some of my listeners aren't sure what that is because, Calgary, we have the White Hat Awards. What is a white hat hacker?
There's three kinds of hackers. There's technically more, but I guess to keep it simple.
Thank you.
We have the white hat. He is the good guy, and he's there. Usually companies will approach white hats and in the form of a penetration test. Like I work with Centurion Defense right now, and we basically find the vulnerabilities before the bad guy does. You have a little gray spot in the middle. That's your gray hat hacker. He kind of goes back and forth. He doesn't really have too much moral guidance, but it's generally nothing too malicious or for nefarious or monetary gain.
Yeah.
And then you have your black hat, and that's what we got to witness yesterday with Twitter and today with Russia, is your black hat hacker, and they're just there for nation-state gains, nefarious, maybe monetary gains, or just gathering intelligence, as we saw today.
Yeah, well, expand on that, because that was my next note, is the Russian hackers or Russia hacking into accounts of COVID researchers. Tell me about that one, Hank.
Yeah, and so this isn't something that surprised me too much, actually, especially considering as COVID was developing, so were the campaigns surrounding COVID in terms of trying to scam people, or these fraudulent campaigns, and they're getting much more complex. And so I find it hard to be surprised when I see things like Russia or Iran going after, even China, I think, was caught for going after different nation states trying to gather the intelligence they might have in terms of developing a vaccine, trying to get, monetary gain in the long run.
Monetary gain, not trying to find a better vaccine out there.
No, I think the goal here is just for them to beat it to the market and just merely for money.
Should I be on TikTok, Hank?
TikTok. I personally, I don't use TikTok.
And I'm asking you that, Hank. I'm asking you that in case someone's saying, what the heck is TikTok? And I'm not on TikTok. But during COVID, I had enough of my daughter saying, oh, you got to see this funny video. You got to see this funny video. But recently, TikTok has been in the news. And there is this concern, again, because of the link with the Chinese government. Explain that one.
Yeah. So a lot of these apps have actually been banned from some countries and some institutes for there's a pretty big list that was published online of Chinese applications that people were banned from using. Things like PDF scanners or just simple everyday apps that you might not. I think Clash of Clans was even on the list, and that's a pretty popular online game. So I think things like these apps like TikTok and there was another really good example, a Russian app that would take your age and it would automatically age you. I think people are signing up to these, and especially the younger generations are signing up to these apps and handing over information without really realizing the implications of that. And it's kind of like the herd mentality. Like some of their friends get on TikTok and then the rest do, and before you know it, everyone's on TikTok, and they happen to they're just sharing everything, and it's basically being logged and sold, and nobody's the smarter.
Yeah, and they're having so much fun. The videos are so fun. It's so fun to see how I age from now till when I'm 98. Isn't that fun? Okay, so then this ties in nicely because we know about Huawei, and if we're talking about TikTok and its links to China, this week Britain announcing that, they are going to make sure Huawei is out of the infrastructure of a 5G. Canada hasn't made a definitive decision on Huawei in a 5G network, has it? Did I miss something?
I thought we would have beat everyone else to kicking them out, but I'm surprised we haven't yet, if we haven't. And because I haven't seen anything either. And I think it speaks really well on the subject that all these other places are banning Huawei from having any kind of participation with their 5G networks. I think that speaks a lot on it. And I think that even situations like the Nortel hack that we saw around 2004 were kind of like a pre-shadow for events like this, like Huawei denying that they had anything to do with the Nortel hacks that happened back then, and then becoming this new Chinese like champion telecommunications company.
Yeah.
It's just, it all speaks too well on how shady the whole situation is.
Now, while the federal government hasn't made a decision, we have seen a couple of the big telecoms saying that they're not going to use Huawei's infrastructure or the 5G, correct? I think I was reading a couple of the bigger telecoms.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones it was, but it definitely seems like at this point we're not going to see Huawei coming into Canada. Yeah. And we can only hope that Trudeau makes the right decision in that sense and makes sure that Huawei doesn't make its way to Canada. And especially considering all these other countries are hopping on the bandwagon and making sure that they don't make it there.
I was reading, though, even with the UK, the US, Australia, I'm going to forget one for sure, Huawei will still be okay because India it looks like they're going with Huawei, that they don't really even need the West to continue to be a big player.
No, I don't think they do need the West to continue to thrive. Mm-hmm. And I think that with the clients they're getting, and they already have, and with being, probably one of the champion telecommunications companies in China, I don't think that losing Western business is any effect to them.
That's discouraging. Hank, you continue to wear that white hat for us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Hank Fordham, an independent security researcher and a white hat hacker. I'm quickly looking. We usually ask if they have a Twitter handle, and I forgot to ask Hank. I don't see one right away. He probably doesn't even trust Twitter. Do you? 403-97